Groveland. And there are 5 members of our committee, on which 3 are here. Anita Wright, who is the representative of the Council on Aging. There Don't get too excited there over there. There's Kermit Cross and Kevin Cuniff, and Kim Jackson, I don't think is going to make it. He's had a tough week after the rains wet his building that he's building, unfortunately, and created a lot of damage, so he's a little bit upset. Okay, what I've handed to you today is the handout that will be sent to you in the mail and all over the town for all the registered voters in town. But you're just getting a preview of what will be in the mail within the next few days. We've sent it in a bulk mail, and you will see it, and it's a flyer which is folded, and it will say Friends of the Council on Aging in the top left corner. So that will be your information, but you're seeing the information that is on that flyer at any rate. Okay, what I would like to do first is to give a little short presentation, of a slide presentation, and Anita will begin it off. Okay, Anita, shoot.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hi. It's a lot of numbers sometimes, so sometimes if you've heard it before and you hear it again, it sounds better or it makes more sense the second time around. So bear with us if you've either watched the presentation or heard it before. But presently, and a lot of people don't know this stuff, so we're trying to reach out and make sure that everybody gets the same information, is that there is currently about 2,100 seniors in the town of Groveland out of a population of 6,500. That's almost a full third of the population is 60 and over. Just to give you an idea of the size of the population we're talking about. The current tax expenditure, oh no, sorry. Somebody doubled my page. So more importantly is to get to these numbers that within the last 6 years, the senior population of Groveland has increased 41%. We've been following these trends locally, and we have national data and statistics to back all this up. The current population of seniors in Groveland in the past year has increased from 30 to 33%. That's in the last year. At present, only 0.9% of the annual taxes paid, after the school's been taken care of, there's a pot that's left over. So of that pot, 0.9% of that is spent on the entire operation of the Council on Aging and all of its services to serve over 2,000 people. $125,000, $127,000. That's all the Council on Aging has. 0.9%. 0.97% of the annual taxes, and I think that's $14,000 left over around that? No, it's 14.6 million is what we take. Right, and 74% of that goes to the schools. So that leaves a couple of million left. So where does that couple of million get spent? To operate the rest of the town, but 0.97% of that pot that's left over is all that is given to the 2,000 seniors in town through the Council on Aging. It's not a lot of money. It works out to what, 52 cents a senior a year? When you think of it that way, it's alarming in a way, but you have to break the numbers down so that it makes sense. We believe that that percentage should be increased to at least 2.74% in order to pay for the construction of a senior center. This is a one-and-done deal, with the additional charge for the maintenance of the building and the staff of of a 0.8% for a total of 3.54% of that pot to go to a new senior center and the additional maintenance fees to serve that large community. Okay? I don't know how these staples got like this. I'm having a senior moment. So currently, back to what I was saying before, there are 2,100 seniors in the town. That's 60 and over. Sometimes people in the 60s don't think that they're seniors, but they are. I'm 70, so, and I know I am. And I want to just say that we're the same seniors, all 2,145 of us, are still going to pay taxes for everything else in the town. And we want to emphasize, despite the fact that we pay mightily our share of the taxes every year, like everyone else does, we only get 0.97% of the pie. So we're interested in improving the $57 that's spent for one senior a year in town. Present and likely minimum future tax rate on an average house in this town is about $5,800. The coverage percentage, okay, I won't say that again, 0.97%. John, I think you get this one.
This is the numbers game here.
I stapled my papers upside down, that's why I'm here.
All right. Okay, I'm going to turn around so I can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, the estimated cost of the senior center will be for 7,560 square feet, multiplied by $483 per square foot, which is an enormous number, by the way. And that, the construction costs we think will be around $285 per square foot. But there are a lot of other additional costs, architects' fees and site development, all kinds of stuff. When you throw it all together, it comes out to be about $483 a square foot. Okay, the size of the facility is about 84 to 85% the size of the town hall here. It's about 112 feet long and about 66 feet wide. Okay, the cost with bonding. Now, what we're suggesting is that we actually take on a 20-year bond and not a 30-year bond, and that means that the total cost of the project will, instead of being $3.65 million, which is the actual costs of the project, when you bond it over 20 years, it comes up to be 5.17 million. Are based on 4% interest. Now, these interest figures are changing, and it's vital that we get this project going now, because if these interest rates keep going up, the price will go up significantly. That's why I'm pressing to get this done now. Okay, next one. Okay, here's what you're looking at, and I think I gave you this sheet. That's what the building will look like. Just to give you a rough idea, the kitchen is on the far right, the entrance is on the very bottom, and the top is facing the River Pines area. So you'll see that, and those slight dashed lines on the left are essentially room for expansion. They're not part of the current building. There are two activity rooms on the far left, as you can see. There's a lounge area just to the left as you go in. The director's office and other people, receptionists, are on the right as you just go in. There's a series of toilets along the row there. Now remember, this is a preliminary design. The final design will be probably modified. There's one room here that looks like it's a room for us, but it isn't. It's utilities. It's to essentially allow for distribution of water for, sorry? Yes?
Yes, in the drawing, those additional rooms that you're adding on, what are those
It's a projection. They're just fantasy. We have no idea. We've got to get this built first before we even think of the next part. Okay, so in the utility room are all the utilities that we need to, our sprinkler system, a few other things, that the heating system, air conditioning, all that other happy jazz that we need to maintain the building. Okay, so, and the little funny stars that you see on the right, the main central room is 2,000 square feet. Currently, this room is about 1,500 square feet, maybe a little less. So this room will be quite significantly bigger, 25% bigger than this room. So it'll be a very big room. And there is a divider that you can make run through. How can they call it? A concertina screen, which will allow us to separate the two like this here, which, by the way, we don't use very often. And the funny little diamond shapes there are supposed to be tables with people sitting at chairs next to the kitchen area. So next slide. This is the site. This is the site, and you can see the parking in the front. There is also availability of putting parking, if we have to, on the right. You can see that. We think there might be as much as 60 parking slots if we need to use them, but I don't think we will for quite some time. Okay, next one. And this is what we think it might look like. The east side, you can see that's facing towards the east, towards Newburyport. The west side is where facing towards our town hall. The front, you can see, is the entranceway, and then the back, you can see two sets of windows and the like. The roof will not look quite as large as that, by the way. I've been told by the architect it will not be as dominant as it appears. Okay, and next one. Okay, here's the nitty-gritty of the calculation. I don't mean to bore you with this, but I just show you that we've gone into this in quite some detail. And essentially, the amount of income that we're currently taking in with 2,503 taxpayers who pay on an average $5,800 a year comes out to be about 14.6 million. So the minimum revenue bonded for 20 years means that they are taking in 292 million over 20 years. That's assuming that we don't have any increases in costs. But we, of course, will have increases in costs. But nevertheless, even at 292 million and probably much more, the percentage of the that we're asking is 5.17 million of 292 million that will be coming in, which is a total of 1.77% of our taxable base. So it's not a lot of money for construction. When you add that at the bottom, when you add that with other costs, namely the 0.97 that we're currently putting in, and add the additional 0.8%, it comes out to be 3.54% increase. But that will be our percentage that we are asking of the town, 3.54% of the total revenue stream that's coming in. Okay, next one. And here we go. This now comes, how does it impact your taxes? 14.6 million times 1.77% comes out to, at a tax rate of 14.69, comes out, believe it or not, to be 26 cents per thousand, which is not a lot on 14.69. So your 14.69 would go up by 26 cents. So the amount it'll cost you will be somewhere in the order of $105 to $106, maybe $107. It's not quite correct to say it's $4 maintenance. It's probably more like $2. So it comes out to be something like $2,180 over 20 years. Or an average person will be paying $105. Now, if you are, as I say, not an average taxpayer, that you are paying considerably less because your house is not as upscale as the newer houses that have been coming into Groveland, then you will have considerably less charge. If you, however, are well heeled, you have a very fancy house, you will be, needless to say, charged a greater degree. So, there you go. Next, and in summary, seniors in Groveland are a significantly growing percentage, 33%. Building a senior center will allow the needs for seniors to be served, and the relocation of the Council on Aging offices allows the freeing up of space in the town hall. Many towns, such as Groveland, are short of spaces suitable for community outreach and social events. With the senior center, evening and weekends events can be accommodated when limited space is available in the town hall. And then finally, the numbers at the end here, we're looking at somewhere between $105 to $109 per year, which comes to about $2,260 per year for over 20 years. Okay. And that is it. Now, if you have any questions. Oh, the next one, yes. Oh, yes. This is comparing. I've forgotten about this one. This compares our community with other communities. We visited Stirling, Tinsborough, and Westminster. And more, but these are the three that were very similar to what we want. And Westminster was by far, we thought, the group that went and visited, was by far the best plan. So what we were able to do, believe it or not, was to, in this preliminary study, we hired the architect who actually did Westminster. And so here are some of the figures. You can see the population is somewhat comparable. Tinsborough is a sort of a special case. It didn't cost them anything. Why? Because they had a 40B deal, and that meant the developer said, if you allow me to do this 40B development, I will throw in a senior center for free. Well, how could they refuse, right? So that was the deal there. But the costs in millions is, as I say, Stirling is 2.71. This was back as really their development. Probably you can say that they started their project sometime around 2012 or 2013. It took quite a while for them to get going. So when you see it, when it was actually occupied, you really can't think those numbers are relevant to that time when it was occupied. You must more or less take away 3 years away from that. So the Tinsborough, which is irrelevant because it was free, looking at Westminster, it was probably started around the process that we're in about 2012. And here we are at 2018. So there's been an inflationary cost. And so you can see the costs have gone up from $420 a square foot. Westminster was 400, and we're at 483, which is not bad considering the level of inflation that is always ongoing. And so we anticipate, we're hoping that we could be in there sometime in 2019. But maybe there might be some slippage 2020, who knows. It's very hard to predict how fast the guys are going to work. And that's it, I think. Questions?
Most of the large homes have the higher taxes, but the families are younger.
Yes,
So if it goes on the ballot, chances are they're gonna vote it down.
that is correct.
Because they're gonna pay astronomical increases.
They're going to pay, I don't so sure that you can call,
It's gonna be quite a bit.
hang on, at $105, even if you double that to $210 on your taxes, it's not a significant number. When you think about you're paying $5,865 on an average, they are probably paying $9,000, $8,000, $9,000, and $10,000 on their taxes, and they're being asked to pay an additional $200. It is insignificant for those who are wealthy enough to own such houses. Yes.
What the seniors are gonna
My
do.
question is this, the zoning for the property, do you know what the zoning is for the lot and the building that's going up?
It's part of the town complex. It's zoned for buildings.
Or is it business zone or residentially zone?
I don't think it's either.
Because I don't know if you can answer something, my question is this, as far as the land and building use, will that be in perpetuity? In other words, the town, state government, the federal government can't come in later on and say, we wanna convert this building to
The
something.
town owns it, the town owns it. Kevin, have you got a response to this?
It
No,
was
other than
origin- I
it's
can-
zoned for whatever's
It was zoned
already here.
for, it was zoned for,
It's part of this
affordable housing.
complex.
I'm sorry,
It was zoned for affordable housing.
well, that's a misnomer, affordable housing, because that could be, that was argued back in 2013 as far as affordable housing, what it means, because there's a lot of, you use the word affordable housing, there are certain rules and conditions that don't apply to it.
They wanted to put a
So-
$10 million,
Use the microphone.
six-story building.
Why do I need to? I
Correct.
can enunciate very
Correct,
clearly.
and because they wanted to put in,
They don't
senior
want it.
citizens, and then they also wanted to put in, Woody B stuff, there was a confluence of misunderstanding, so that whole thing got mixed.
Right.
But this lot is an open lot. What my concern is you put up a senior center, I wanna make sure that they don't, down the road, whether by local or federal or state.
It's owned by the town.
rules, that they're not gonna go in and change it and all of a sudden start putting apartments in.
Can't happen.
Are you able to answer that question, or is that a legal question that a lawyer would have to answer?
I
It's,
don't know that it has anything to do with legality. It's a piece of property that could have been used by the River Pines for Fed, but they would have had to buy it from the town, I guess, or take
Yeah.
away in the
Okay,
domain.
but because the property's
But it's owned by the town.
Yes, but it's owned by the town, and you're proposing you put a senior center on it. Basically, I'm okay with that. My concern is I don't want them to come in afterwards and say, well, because, we need the land out for something else, we're gonna take this away. I mean,
I think you are, if I may be so bold, I think you are making something, a mountain out of a molehill somehow here. I'm not sure that it's an issue. I really don't.
well, I mean, just to be clear, okay, and I'm here as a private citizen, I don't represent any,
No, we understand that. You understand that?
I am in a butter to that property.
Okay.
And my concern is the location of where that building is going right now, and where my abutment is, I can see that building to some degree.
You-
Based upon the drawings that are brought forth, it's acceptable, it's not ugly to look at, so I'm kind of okay with that. My concern is expansion, you have drawings in there for potential expansion. It seems to be all onto the side where you enter into the,
River Pines Drive.
yeah, so that's what the expansion, so therefore, is that all within the setbacks of the property where you don't need a variance for that extension?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you meant those, okay? I'm concerned with the simple fact that even if you grew them, somewhere down the road, someone doesn't come in and say, I need more housing in that area, because for some reason, someone's gonna say, that property is now part of the property behind it. Now they wanna start putting apartments in, and, that's my concern.
It's not, the housing authority is built with federal money. It's a HUD.
That's
project.
correct.
Okay,
This is town-owned. They cannot just
okay,
Take it over by.
take it over by eminent domain. It's just not gonna happen.
okay.
And there
I
was
can,
another option.
I mean, I'll ask the question of Deb.
Sorry?
Deb.
Uh,
No, Deb.
Deb?
Deb Webster, the assessor.
Oh.
She knows about that stuff.
Like I said, I mean.
I can get a
I mean, I'm
clarification
just-
on that, but I wouldn't even entertain that. call.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate, only simply because
I
I've been
understand.
around long enough to see that, something goes up under the guises of being this, then because of politics and everything else that's involved, we can convert the building from this to this now, and now you've lost all say in the town. That's why a lot of times certain developments have a hard time going, because the town loses a certain say. I'm just concerned with this.
The beauty of
Kermit,
this
Kermit,
town-
Hammer.
Part of
Oh,
this,
sorry.
part of this, I think you need to understand is, when the town bought this land, they bought the entire complex. These three buildings, the town hall, library, and the police and fire station, were federally funded, donated to the town. That wasn't on your tax dollar. That came from the government because the town owned the property. We were able to be in the right place at the right time and have the right people to get that. I don't know if people remember back then, I knew when they built it. They finished this in 77, 78 timeframe. But it was a federal project that donated this money to the town, or donated these buildings to the town at that time.
Okay, well,
Just
Okay.
to give you a little
yeah,
history, I
no,
don't.
Okay.
I appreciate that, thank you. Like I said, my only concern is that I don't wanna see, you know, the town spend the money, put up a nice center for the seniors to use, and then all of a sudden, somewhere down the road, there's some manipulation of something that all of a sudden out, it gets converted to something else. That's why I asked if there's anything, as far as on the legal side, to protect the seniors from the point where they just can't come in and take that building out.
Yes, I think in the bonding and all of the, there's this legal stuff in bonding that we have to do, before, if we get approved. That we'll look at quitclaim deeds, all that kind of stuff has to be looked at, before anybody can dig a hole. So I think there's some assurance that, I know for sure the town owns the property and they've given it to us to work with, free and clear.
Okay, any other
We don't even
questions?
have to buy land to put the senior center on, we're given this great clear lot.
Any other questions, please?
No, it's a fair, I can understand your concern. I will, there's more than one.
Glenn, did you have something?
I was just going to say, the beauty of that spot is it is town-owned. And that not too long ago, several years back, there was an effort to build some affordable housing on that spot. But it did, after all, not pan out, and so that land was given back to the Council on Aging, for the purpose of building the senior center. I think the beauty of the proposed site is, it takes great care to put an attractive side to the folks who are living at River Pines, to not infringe on the folks on the right, Groveland Commons, so that that whole area is also open. There is, of course, you know, the possibility, you know, later down the pipe of perhaps placing some parking there. But the beauty also is the ability to utilize the parking spaces that are already there. We've had, for instance, the school buses have parked there in the past, but that's gone. So that, all of that parking area is available to us. And it's flat, and it's level, and it's, you know, ADA compliant, because it's so easy to get in and out of.
Yes.
So, I happen to be one of those people that has the higher taxes.
Yes. Yes, that's fair, yeah.
But I'm actually all for this, so I'm gonna just speak to the truth that, and I actually work in the medical field with seniors, so I'm here to advocate on your behalf. So I think part of the conversation, like, it's great to show the numbers, but I think you are gonna have a battle convincing these 30 and somethings with the high tax to really back this up. So I would just encourage part of the conversation, as you educate the public, is to talk about the importance of supporting our seniors and the value of giving this to our community. So,
Yes, we know that I don't know the numbers. We learned about it in conversing with people who, and Lynn's, as the director of the Council on Aging, often becomes a resource for people who have either an elder parent, grandparent, aunts or uncles, somebody close in their family, living with them in their homes, with kids. And it's sort of one of those situations where, I know, you might be 30 or 35 now, but you're gonna, now you're a person,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say,
you
no.
are eventually going to
I'm
become
closer to
older.
that 6-0.
But if you're one of those families in Groveland where part and parcel of you getting that nice house was your mom or your father sold your property and that went into the mortgage, you're now giving them a room or maybe a little suite for themselves, but they may need some help, they may need care, they may need somebody around once in a while. Lynn often encounters those phone calls from these young folks who are looking for help, resources, and other things. We are envisioning the senior center as so many things, but one of the things it can provide to the 11 congregate yield site on it is a port of caregiver relief, if you will, a potential for caregiver relief nursing home that really can't be unsupervised, in the daytime, you can bring them, they can participate and have socialization, participate in an activity, a movie, or even just quiet time, and congregate meal for hours while you get a break or a doctor's appointment for yourself or something along those lines. So there is a reason for the younger people to look at this in a more immediate sense, I think. We don't have the numbers, I don't know the numbers.
I
and
agree with you, but I think we need to educate.
We were hoping that maybe
Part
the
of-
question would come up at town meeting, that,
Well, I'll be there and ask.
oh, okay.
I'll be happy to
I
do
was
that.
unaware that was gonna be possible, having elder care, when necessary.
Right. It's
That's
actually,
fabulous.
it's actually part of a piece that occurs at the Amesbury Council on Aging. Through some grant funding, they created, Greenleaf Supportive Daycare. And it's an opportunity for folks to come in and be cared for and enjoy a lunch, enjoy some company, some activities, blah, 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 blah. And it does, as we've often said, it lightens the life of folks at home. Because what's happening now that we see often, and at least by way of phone calls, folks are taking, residents here in town, citizens, are taking care of their children. They're still of school age, and they're also caring for or concerned about or keeping an eye out for either a parent or a relative or a neighbor even. And so the services and so on that we provide at the Council on Aging, and that would be more greatly available at a senior center, lightens their life. It's a way to lighten their life. Also, we've talked about in conjunction with the police department, when folks are lonesome and they're at home and they're alone all day, and they see no other human being. And I can't tell you how many people in our small little town that that's true of.
I know, because
Do you know-
I'm a
are
case
you not
manager,
aware?
and I know, because
Right,
half of the people I talk to have no family, no support.
right.
And one of the things that I think you should bring up about this facility is the accessibility, because one of the towns, I won't mention which, they have to actually go in an elevator to get to that main dining area, which is a big barrier for people who have to
Sure.
use walkers and just don't have that mobility.
Sure, I know
So
what you're talking about.
That's, I know. So this is huge, the accessibility.
We're expecting you at town meeting
I know.
to make the case. This is you. You're the expert. We want you to do that.
So what ends up happening, if you will, is, we've talked often with the police, so what happens is when you're home alone all day, and day after day after day, you get a little ringing, not, that's my clinical assessment.
Yeah.
Not for any physical reason, but because you're just lonesome. So the police get all sorts of random calls, repetitively, it happens with us sometimes, that folks would just like someone to talk to. And that's not a big deal.
I Meals on Wheels in Groveland and see these people, and it's sad, because you're the only one that they see sometimes. And to check on them, and I've come up in situations where I found people on the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
If it wasn't for Meals on Wheels, I didn't know what would happen. And it's a shame too, now the town has invested, almost $40,000 in this project just to get it started. And to lose that would be a shame.
It's a shame it
It
is.
would be a shame.
Go ahead, Lou.
I just wanna say that this piece of information is the first time I've heard anything about the daycare part of that, and I think you should leave with that.
Well,
think
it's
all the
something
money
that's
stuff
not
is
occurring now,
interesting,
but it's something that could occur going forward. Because,
You
it's
know
sort
that
of a,
everybody everybody has not, I have never heard that, for as many times as, heard talk about the senior center, I have never heard that. And I think it's a very
but that's,
valid and
and
important
it's
point.
valid, but it's a small piece.
Very big, it's the one that tugs.
Lady at the back. Lady at the back. Okay.
Two questions.
Yes.
On the funding. Daycare is lovely, but doesn't it have some specific construction things? You can't, it makes it a semi-medical thing, and was that factored in? And who's going to pay for essentially the supervision for?
Well,
a
sure,
larger
right you
daycare?
are on both, right you
Well,
are on
that's thing,
both
but
fronts.
where's the money?
Okay.
Well, right you are on both fronts, but that's not that's not our strong suit, nor is it something that we're planning on at the moment. It's something that's available and can occur going forward down the pipe. Right you are on both counts.
We're envisioning well people, maybe use a walker or a wheelchair. You know, we're not gonna be giving out medications, we're not gonna be medication reminders.
Correct.
It's not an assisted living that we're talking
Correct.
about. We're talking about an elderly person who you really don't wanna leave alone, who maybe falls a little bit and, you know, you like to have somebody there, but you're torn, you wanna go to a soccer game, you wanna, you know, have a doctor's appointment for yourself and not cancel it again. The senior center will be operational 5 days a week, early in the morning to late at night, or in the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. It's an opportunity consistently to depend on a space that's safe and warm and friendly and provides a meal and companionship.
And staff, and everybody, I think it's wonderful, I think the food pantry is wonderful. And I have a question again about funding, because I was going through some things to get some information. And I was looking at the March meeting, and there's a sentence that really comes out from the minutes, where you dropped all the costs, pretty much 50%. But this is number 2 in the March, it's the February Council on Aging meeting. Construction factors were modified and changed from 10% to 5%, which the architect reluctantly agreed to, pointing out there is a risk in this revision. So what's the risk? I mean, I feel
Okay.
like there isn't.
This is a feel, okay. This is a little difficult. The architect comes in and he nearly always wants to cover his outside events if costs escalate dramatically. And we have 3 building guys on our committee. Kevin is one of them. Kim, who isn't able here tonight, is another, and Kermit is another. And these guys, including myself, who've just been playing with the numbers for quite some time, realized that there was a certain amount of redundancy in the costing that he put in his package. He originally came in with 4.1 million. For instance, he wanted to spend on site development something like $350,000. We have trimmed that down to 200,000 because the site is fairly simple and straightforward. We've already had an estimate from one of our contractors in the town. He believes he can do it for 160,000. But the point is, there was a lot of redundancy in all of his numbers. What we did was put the boots to him a bit and said, look, this is the cost that we can live with. We cannot go before the town for 4.1 million. We have to have a more realistic figure. And that's where we argued with him over that. And that is how we brought the cost down to 3.65. And we believe that figure is achievable.
But that doesn't speak to a risk. I mean, you specifically mentioned a risk.
There's always risk. Everything is risky. Life is full of risks.
I don't think he meant by risk, because I attended many of those meetings as well. I don't think it was a physical or, a physical dangerous risk, but more of a financial risk.
Well, that's what she realizes. That's what she's talking about. That's
Okay,
correct.
all right.
The other things I talk about is sprinkler systems and things, so
Yeah.
having something 50% has to, I don't know, it scares me.
We
That
didn't,
wasn't one of the things
that was not one that was cut.
But,
The site development here, people need to be aware of, is much better than it could be in a lot of other places. Having been directly involved with the light department, moving from School Street down to Salem Street, and that project, I can tell you, we got really deep into expense when it came to putting in the water line for the sprinkler system, which was an unseen, didn't know anything about it. And there were other costs like that that showed up. Here we're dealing with sand, it's pretty much a known level ground to start with. We're not putting in a cellar because that creates a lot more expense or other things. So it's gonna be a slab built, if you will. And then we're dealing with, we know we have the water lines on, the sewer line, the gas line, electric, all of the utilities are here on the site. It's been proven. These three buildings are now on a generator, by the way. When the lights go out in town, that starts automatically and so forth. I was involved in putting that in and putting the building up to put it and so forth, so I've got a little experience with some of this stuff.
Will that building become an emergency center if God forbid something happened in the town? You know, like the last bad storm we had, people were out of power, well, and you would get those robocalls, show up at town hall, stay.
It will ha-
Will
it
that
will have-
building become something like that also?
We will not be an emergency warm shelter. There are other places that we can utilize, and we'll have resources for that. But it, again, it jacks the price up tremendously. And it's not, it's, you know, we'll have lights and communications
And he,
and heat.
so it
So
will,
during daytime, it would be warm, it would be lit, and
it will be considered, as we consider town hall and the fire station, as a warming site. But if I'm not mistaken, in terms of emergency management folks, is not the Bagnell School our emergency shelter in the event of,
We have to be
That's why the generator was put in the Bagnell School to comply with a shelter business, and I was involved in that project.
So basically, if there's, God forbid, there's a real emergency and people lost power, they would only go to the Bagnell School, they wouldn't populate these three buildings
Correct.
during that
You
emergency.
would probably have some people in these three buildings,
Yeah,
but the Bagnell School is better set up as a shelter.
I was just curious.
And there is a generator to cover the Bagnell School.
And this building will have a generator, I assume?
no,
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 no?
no.
no.
I've been living here almost 60 years.
It may wind up having.
was
a
I
very
never
generator.
knew that the Bagnell School was a place you could go. I didn't know how many people in Groveland know that.
Well, you know, we're pretty blessed, I think, in that the light department never goes down
Right.
compared to
Right,
neighboring
I know,
towns.
right.
But what happened recently was, this became like a warming center. Folks could come in, charge their phones, charge their devices, stay warm, we have a little wee kitchen, water, blah, blah, blah. But this location, as well as several others, do not have, you know, shower facilities and the sorts of other, items that would be needed in a shelter.
We looked at that, we did actually discuss this at one of the meetings. This was an extremely unusual event that occurred in all towns. And it really was a National Grid problem, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Groveland, I've been here 33 years, and my power, I don't think has ever been out more than 6 hours in down Ashcroft Terrace, that's where I live. I don't, maybe some other people have experienced something, they're going to retreat or something, an individual house or a small number of houses on the street, maybe because of that. But it was, when you look at what it would cost like to prepare for every eventuality and make that, the new senior center be that thing, would have, I think probably double or triple the price. We even had made decisions on where the mechanics were gonna be, downstairs or on the roof kind of thing. We had to settle for, to keep the costs down, to make it work. You're still gonna get all the comfort of heat, air conditioning, sprinkler system for safety, so the building doesn't burn down, on a ground level. So we tried to look at, that's where some of those changes were made. We originally were gonna use a downstairs and an upstairs kind of thing, our original, very early plans. But it just became too costly. Basements are expensive, and then I think you need to have, if you have a roof, you have to have elevators, and, because people need to have access to it, and it has to be handicap accessible.
Shelters are mandated, I believe, by the federal government
Right.
as to what they've got to contain and have available in order to make it a legitimate shelter.
Because then it's code and it's a safety issue.
Yes.
So I have one more question.
Yes.
Who estimate the ongoing electricity, heating, air conditioning, maintenance? Because town maintenance doesn't seem to be, forgive me, that big a deal in Groveland.
Um,
Forgive me for that, but, what do and staffing, because I'm assuming if it's open forever, well, it's not gonna,
Hang on. This is a difficult question to answer. One of the issues is when you start a senior center, you start with essentially a small population coming into that senior center. We estimate somewhere 200, 250 people will be coming into that senior center initially, okay? What I'm talking about is the number of people that come into the building, start utilizing it. Normally, we're giving you some numbers here based on our experience talking to these other towns. What happens is there's a 20%